Next will be Dr. Abdul Falah, who's going to give an insider's view on current events in Libya.
Thank you. Okay, just a continuation to what my colleague here is stating, the peace movement of democracy in North African countries have inspired the world. It's not our neighbors that are fighting for their human rights, it's the whole world. It's time to put stop to oppression in dictatorial regimes. The popular uprising in Libya is not about religion, it's not about politics, it's about human rights for all Libyans. Standing together, we can make a better world for all mankind. Unfortunately, the regime in Libya backlashes the desire of the Libyan people for freedom and justice. And Muammar Gaddafi wages war against the popular uprising. I need to summarize the events that have occurred in the last 3 weeks. We cannot fill it in 5 or 10 minutes, hours, and not enough. But just to try to summarize little touches here and there about those events. 2 days before the scheduled intifada or uprising, which is scheduled to be February 17th, to commemorate the incident happened in 2006, where people in Libya protesting against the Italian consulate in Benghazi, against the cartoon about Prophet Muhammad. And that day, 11 people were killed and 35 were injured. So the Libyans this year decided to do this in that incident, to commemorate that incident on April 17th. However, April 15th, which is 2 days before that time, approximately 600 civilians protested in front of the police headquarters in Benghazi following the arrest of the human rights activist Fathi Turbo, who is a lawyer, very activist against the massacre that happened in 1996, where 1,200 political prisoners killed in one afternoon. And he was activist in that. They were arrested him, so people are protesting against that. The internal security officers violently broke up the demonstration, causing more than 50 injuries and hundreds, actually 50 injuries. On the February 17th, the day of the scheduled intifada or uprising, the main military base, which called Katibat al-Fadil or Fadil Brigade, was battled for over 3 days when about 49 years old Libyan civilian packed his car with explosives and smashed it into the gates of the base. Hence, the Libyan army officers of that brigade subsequently surrounded and sided with the groups or oppositions. Meanwhile, the regime started employing mercenaries by recruiting local African workers that works in Libya, and also by hiring mercenaries from our neighboring countries, mainly from Chad and Niger. And inside sources estimated that Gaddafi succeeded in hiring around 50,000 mercenaries, and he's paying each $200 to kill his fellow citizens. In February 22nd, Gaddafi blamed the uprising on the hallucinogenic pills and also on the Al-Qaeda. The uprising started as a series of peaceful protests and confrontations against the regime, but Gaddafi escalated it into a war. Our inside sources witnessed helicopters firing into civilian crowds and tanks targeting houses and mosques. This led to thousands of brutal deaths and more injuries. According to the Libyan Human Rights League, more than 6,000 have been killed in the attack by Gaddafi's regime in such a short span of time, with thousands and thousands more are missing. By the end of February, Gaddafi had lost three-fourths of the Libyan land to the revolutionaries, including most of the cities in the eastern part of the country, such as Tobruk, Jdabia, Benghazi, and Bayda, and Derna, and so forth. Also, Misrata and Zawiya, where western cities near Tripoli have been turned to the oppositions. Zawiya is a very important location for Gaddafi. It's just about 30 miles away from Tripoli. Meanwhile, Gaddafi claimed that there was no conflict in Libya. All my people love me. They are all willing to die for me. That's what he stated. Those protesters are from Al-Qaeda. So those are Al-Qaeda. I know what he called them. He called them rodents. Freedom fighters. The Libyan rebels has established a National Transitional Council which derives its legitimacy from the decision of local councils set up by the revolutionary people. These local councils facilitate the mechanism to manage the daily life in the liberated cities and also in the villages. The council consists of 30 members. I told you 5 minutes ago. Anyway, they are representing Libya of north, south, and east and west. Just to summarize, yesterday, the regime forces led by Khamis Brigade continued their siege on Zawiya by attacking the city streets with tanks, artillery fires, and 104 civilians killed just yesterday. The hit and run attack continues until today. Anyway, so to summarize, and hope we can continue this in the discussions, that at this point, the opposition will not be able to keep up with the power of the brutal regime that's supported by foreign mercenaries. But we will rely on the will of our people to free and dignify existence. Shibir, shibir, bait, bait, zanga, zanga. Thank you.